Hi, Soul family, and everyone on this crazy journey. I am Megma Hira, aka Ego Alchemist, and with me I have Kira FARR, also known as Emerging Souls. And this is sharing my light, coming out initiation journey for closeted light workers. And today we are going to talk about receiving guidance through angel numbers and feathers.
Hi everyone, you're either seeing this on the ego.alchemist channel or Emerging Souls channel or both. Today I'm here with Megma to talk about angel guidance and how we receive that information. Normally it's one of the first things that we experience as we awaken spiritually. So I actually saw 444 just then, so they're already here to sort of guide everything and touch base. And yeah, it's a really wonderful topic to discuss as it relates to a lot of people who are deep in the journey, early on in the journey. I feel like a lot of people can really relate to this topic, so yeah.
Okay, so do you have a personal angel number? Like, I have heard people that they see their birthdays or a significant, unique angel number to like that's unique to them. Do you have something like that?
I do tend to have not necessarily a sort of personal one that I see at certain times, but I do tend to have certain phases where they will come in waves and then change, and then that one will come in waves. So like I'll see 222 for like 2 months, and then I'll see 444 for like a month or so, and then 777. Like they tend to come and go in waves. And they normally pair up. So recently I've been seeing 222 and 333, whereas I used to just see 1111, 111. And there are a couple that I do favor. Like I really like seeing 222 because I associate it with the heart and connections, and 777 because of the spirituality of it and the knowledge and the luck and abundance side of things. So I do have favorite ones that I see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I kind of jumped into that question, but for those who are new to this and haven't really don't know what angel numbers are, it's basically repeating numbers that pops up into our awareness. And for me, it happens mostly on my phone and whenever I'm out on the road, number plates on cars, and that is crazy how much I see them. Um, and yeah, and I experience angel numbers in the same way like you described, like it comes in waves. And there was this whole month that 777 just followed me around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think 777 also reminds me about endurance on this path and to stay strong, because that luck and abundance, when it's really at the door, you also face that resistance and doubt inside.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
777 reminds me to keep that faith on the journey that I'm on. So yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, having that trust that it is on the way. We just have to face a lot of trials and tribulations to get there, unfortunately. But we are here to learn, and it's not really easy to learn lessons sometimes. But there's always a silver lining at the end of the. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and yeah, it's a great reminder to endure because there's going to be that abundance at the end. Yeah.
So what according to you, like angel numbers are like, what is it doing on our spiritual journey? Like how does it help? What kind of information do you think we're receiving from
I really think it's a great way for two different realms to sort of come together. because we are obviously living on a very, like a lower realm. Depending on our own vibrational frequency, we can raise that, but ultimately we are on a lower sort of
Denser kind of reality.
there's a lot of that, like there's a lot of walls to break for them to reach us, and a lot of mental blockages. And we as humans, we go, oh, that's something out of the ordinary, and they know that about us. They know that we see things, and they catch our eye. And so seeing the three of the same numbers, it's very it's sort of like it's sort of like when you're playing with a cat, you sort of have to like dangle something there that they're going to pay attention to. And we're sort of like those beings that need that little extra like light bulb moment. And the angels sort of know that about us, that we need kind of a light to flick on for us to receive that guidance. And it's very much a great way to break through those walls. And it makes us curious, and we have the ability to Google, what's happening? Why am I seeing this number everywhere? We love coincidences, and I bet they think it's pretty funny how we sort of like snap to see this like angel number.
So excited.
Oh. But no, I think it's the best way that they can communicate with us, because if they communicate with us through our dreams or our third eye, like that's a lot of extra layers that we have to sift through, as opposed to looking at the clock. It's easier for us, hence why it's something that comes in at the beginning of the journey and not at the very end, because everyone can experience it. So it's, yeah, I think they're doing their best to get us to wake up, I think. Yeah.
Well, that was so accurate, and I loved how you explained it. It sounds so true and resonates. And and so the seeing angel numbers is the first physical evidence you get to see that this reality is not just what you have known or to be, right? There's something else going on with this whole experience, and that's the first physical contact from our angels. And and then they just keep sending us sometimes for just like, we're still here, don't worry. And it's happened same to me. I started seeing angel numbers back in 2018, 17, around when I was just making huge shifts in my life. And I had no idea what was coming. I just knew that I am noticing these things about me, especially when I'm feeling down and alone and I don't know what I'm going to, experience in the next phase of my life. I'm scared. And I see these numbers, and I remember seeing 444 particularly, because it's about the support and that structure and that protection around you. And I love that. So and that's like, kind of reels you into this whole rabbit hole, and here we are now on the other side. That's amazing. And another thing that I was actually recently discussing with Leah Russ, and she and I are also working on another project for Lightworkers. We are calling it Lightworkers Lifeline, and it is I love that too. But we were talking about this certain trigger words like resonance, and triggers these deep memories, this high dimensional memories within us. And for me, it was when back in like the first decade of 2000s, right? I was still in school and I was reading Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, and where it has a very small part about the age of Aquarius. And at that time, to me, it was just a book, and it was just could be a fiction. I don't know, but it felt true. I know it's not just the part of the fiction. There is something in there, and that triggered, and it stayed with me. And now it makes sense now that I'm aware of all what's going on. And similarly for her, my name, ego.alchemist, triggered memory, and she contacted me and see where this was leading. So, and I think angel numbers is also that kind of trigger was that triggers memories. And when I started seeing them a lot in the beginning of my journey, I could relate it to seeing how in the Matrix movie Neo sees the code of the artificial matrix, that this matrix is made up of numbers and there is a code. I don't know if you have seen that movie, but I could see like it's the part of how this universe is made and it's coming, that I could see through that veil that separates us. So yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I think I haven't personally experienced any particular words really bringing memory forward for me, but I definitely think that there are certain things that can thin that veil between us and the other realms. I was going to say something that fell out of my brain a little bit there. But it's definitely a great way to shift your perspective and attention to something that is not what it seems. And I think it's also a great opportunity for us to test them. We can ask them, especially at the beginning, we're like, oh, it's a coincidence, but we can test them and ask them for a specific number sequence, and then we receive it, and it's extra validation, because I do think that for a lot of people, myself included at the very beginning, I need a lot of evidence to sort of back up this sort of theory. But yeah, and they know that about us. I think they know that we need a little extra guidance and clarity on something. I know that at one stage I was thinking about something so much and ignoring all the information, and they sent a reading on TikTok to me, and I normally skip them, but this one everything was spot on, and I was like, okay, I get it now, and it finally sunk in. And I think angel numbers can be a little bit like that. If you're wondering, especially with 444, for me it means sort of stopping that ego limitation. It'll come up and just be like, hey, you're living with your ego is not in the back seat anymore, it's driving. Like, you need to kind of take over and remove that limitation, because it's just steering you somewhere you don't want to be. So it's very good for us to have that relationship and that tool, because numbers are like a tool that we can use to connect with them. Yeah.
And you know what I learned from this part of the conversation? Something so important is like we have our own interpretations of the angel numbers that we assign to. Like I said, for like support, and you just need to trust in that support. And like you said, it's about you driving the wheels, because that 4 is associated with square, that limitation, that box, right? It's a structure. So, and how we can learn from each other's interpretation and evolve our own. Like, yeah, I always encourage this, that have your own set of meanings and keep evolving, then keep expanding on that language, on that vocabulary to communicate with your guides and angels.
Definitely. Yeah. I Googled a lot for the most part, because I never remember, because I'd always see something different, and it's hard to remember when it's always something different. I would Google it up, and it was always a different thing each time, and I was like, okay. And then it's funny, because I never really thought to do that. I never thought to give my own meanings. I thought that they had to be someone like predetermined, I guess. And someone said, they were like, you do realize that you can just make your own ones. And I'm like, oh. And I did that very recently, and it's been really helpful to me to communicate that to them and be like, hey guys, guess what, now you can actually get through to me, because I know what I'm doing now. So yeah, but it's really great to have that. It personalizes it too. Like, everyone has different numbers and like different meanings for the number synchronicities and stuff like that. And even the feather colors and that, like, people will have different meanings for those. And there's no wrong or right. It's what's personal to you and your angels and how you connect with them. So it's a lot better than just Googling it and getting a different vague answer every single time. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're putting this out there, right? Because it's about your language with your angels, how others, and that can evolve and be influenced and become more elegant and complex. But it doesn't need to be affected about how other feels about those messages. It's their own personal language. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, and yeah, your screen did something also there.
Yeah. Not sure what that was, but hopefully it'll stay working and intact and everything. Yeah.
um, yeah, so is there any particular number or message that you are kind of unpacking, unzipping right now as we go, like these days and stuff?
I think that I sort of sat down and unpacked them all very recently, writing about them all. I do feel there is one that isn't as talked about that I get quite a lot, and that's 1222. Um, and I associate that with, I decided because I saw it so much, I was like, okay, this is going to be something I'm going to utilize. And I feel like the number one is like new beginnings, leadership, empowerment, stepping forward. Very like, if I was to associate it with a zodiac sign, it would be Leo energy, sort of like that bold, fresh sun, like new life energy. And then with 222, I would connect that to the heart space and connections and um, living in alignment with the heart and whatever that means for the individual, whatever that means for me at the time. So that one is a new one that I've added to my little list of angel numbers. And I think, I started out with just the standard 111 and 1111, and then it always branches off from there. But 1222 is one that I do get quite often. So I've given it a meaning, and that one is one I'm working with a lot lately. Yeah. You mentioned 444, which is one you saw quite often at the beginning. Is there any particular one you're working with right now quite often?
What is popping up is 1010 or 1010.
Yeah.
It's about, for me, being at the edge of two cycles and making a transition,
Yeah.
like in the void space and in a creative mode, but in a more underground kind of energies. So that's
Yeah.
kind of, I'm feeling into this number I'm working with right now. So how would you interpret 1010 if it were you?
I wrote it down, but I don't see it often. Yeah, so for me, I kind of associate it with, because of um, I think because of the tarot card, like 10 of Cups or 10 of something, it always seems to be like an achievement sort of number. Like everyone wants a 10 in something or a 10 in this. Like it's always the like sort of higher number. And so even like just saying like, oh, 10 out of 10, like it's a good score to have. And I think for me, yeah, it means that achievement or success, or it gives off sort of like Capricorn finance, winning, sort of practical, worldly energy to me. But it's not one I've worked with a lot personally. But yeah, that would be my interpretation of it.
Wow,
Yeah.
I love how you work through that numbers and you, yeah, it's really something that also resonates. So I wrote that down as 1010, like achievement, like you're on point. And if I associate it with what I was feeling into, that being that creative void, that raw energy, it's like, yeah, you're there, you're working through it, and you are in your most creative power right now. So that's the layer that you added to my meaning. So thank you.
Right.
Cool. So yeah, is there any like feathers or any trinkets that you want to share that came through you as a message? Is there any?
I have a couple that I saw at the very beginning of my journey. It was in like late 2020 before I was involved with any of this. I had no idea. I was getting like a couple of angel numbers and looking at some animal guide stuff. But I got a couple of feathers. I got this little pink one, which I associate with like sort of the same sort of stuff as the 222 energy, is that like connections and stuff. It's a little, I think it's a galah feather. It's hard to see, but it's a little pink and white feather. And when I received this, I was very sad and lonely about my um, lack of connections that I had in my life. I'd lost a lot of friends because I left school, and oh, my screen's doing something funky.
It's okay. Keep
um, I lost some friends just from leaving high school, and people grow apart and change and stuff. And I was quite down about that. And they sent me that feather, and I Googled it, and it was like, like you will have new friendships coming in, you will have new connections coming in, you're not going to be alone forever. And I was like, that's so lovely to hear and have that guidance, that it was so special. So I kept it. Yeah, but that one would be my favorite one. I also I found 3 big black crow feathers all in the same patch of grass once, which I have 2 still up there on my shelf. But those ones were really cool to see, because you'd ever see 3 big black feathers sitting on the ground all together. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And to me, black feathers are very symbolic of protection and being looked over and guided, because of the color black being sort of universally seen as a protective color. So that was really awesome to see as well. And I feel quite connected to crows in general. So yeah, it was very nice. I do like receiving the occasional feather. And
it.
do you have any you as well?
So this is a feather as a big one that I received when I was in the beginning of my journey back in 2020. So I was well into believing it was happening, but yeah, it was difficult. I was alone and stuff, and I received this. And for the longest time, I did not know which bird it belonged to. It's a peacock feather, and when you think of peacock feather, you don't think of this, but they have this wing feathers which are brown underneath. And yeah, I love this one, so I kept it. And recently, I received these eagle feathers. So we went to a river boat ride where they feed eagles, and there were like flocks of them coming and feeding, and they are like friendly pets to those fishermen there. And
Yeah.
I saw this one just floating on the water and just one single feather, and I was like, please, 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 I want that. It's for me. It's my gift. And yeah, um,
Yeah.
I know that you are very much connected to animals and animal medicine. So, like, do you like interpret this like the eagle and the peacock medicine?
I think the eagle is quite symbolic of um, power and freedom, which I think is why America took it for their like representing sort of animal. Um, I think the eagle also represents connection to spirit, like flying high, connecting to source and spirit, and the power of our spirits and our souls, and also the spirit realm in general. It's not just about being powerful and free in the material world, but also being powerful and free of spirit and freedom. And the eagle's actually one of the animals I feel very connected to and very bonded to. Not so, I think it's like some sort of brown eagle that I like the most, I think, as opposed to the bald eagle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what types there are out in the world, but I do think brown eagles are the most majestic. They may not be um, but no, I think they're very pretty. They're very gorgeous. And the peacock, I think it's always been known as being quite relevant to prosperity and luck and abundance. And I also think it can connect to extravagance and beauty and a little bit like of that glorious prideful energy, very like, I feel like if Leo wasn't represented by the lion, it should be represented by the peacock because they are quite majestic with their feathers. Yeah, so a lot of, and their colors are quite like the color green is always been represented with financial prosperity and all that jazz, and the color blue, like they call it royal blue because of it's quite fancy. So yeah, very typical meanings, but I do think that they resonate with the animals quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you talk about animals and you describe their essence. It's really beautiful. And yeah, for me, that peacock is about, being in your expression and really showing it to the world. And yeah,
Yeah.
and for eagles, like they fly so high, they have this higher perspective. And I was also told, and it resonated very much, that they are like messengers of angel realms, and they can carry our prayers to the angel realms or carry their messages and drop those downloads on us, those packets of wisdom. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cool feathers to receive. So once a
Yeah.
little bird made a nest in my bathroom and I kept it. It's like so beautiful. Um, and yeah, they even hatched eggs in there, but sadly they did not survive. It was not a very sturdy nest, but it was this time when I was just beginning ego alchemist, and it felt like this ritual of just hatching a new project that just happened in front of my eyes, and I tried to help the birds, but it was not a really great ending, and it always makes me sad when that happens. uh, yeah, so do
Yeah.
you have anything else to add to this topic?
Um, Overall, I think that angel messages and working with angels is one of the most rewarding and special connections you can have with a guide. I know that angel messages and angel guidance is very, there's something so powerful but gentle about it. I know that I've got a couple of spirit guides that are a little rough around the edges, and angels are quite um, parental almost. They sort of offer that parental love and nurturing that everybody should receive and everybody needs. And I think if you can connect to an angel, even if it's an archangel and not necessarily a personal angel, but any sort of angelic being, I think it's worth going into it. And another thing as well that I would like to add is that you don't have to be right in your spiritual journey to encounter an angel. You don't have to see them physically standing there. You don't have to be spiritually awakened. My encounter with my angel actually started this whole thing. So, like, really opened the door for me. So, if you want to connect with angels, you don't have to be a particular type of person. You don't have to have any particularly intense gifts or an open third eye or anything like that. Just open your heart, give it a go, and they will be there for you because they want to meet you. Every guide and every angel wants to meet you. They want to guide you. If you let them in, they will come in. So that's the last message I have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful reminder. And yes, your angels and guides are just waiting around to give you everything that you need on your path. You have your whole team. everybody that does that have that connection. You don't have to be any sort of special or anything. And it's the thing that comes in between, if you're wondering why you don't have a communication with your angels and guides, it's because you're not using or dissolving that barrier through free will. You need to call them in, and they
Yeah.
respect you so much. They respect your journey so much and your choices that they won't interfere unless you invite them into. And once you just open up and just ask for the guidance, and they will shower you with so much love and direction. Just got to ask. And yeah, and this is what is coming through right now, is talking about prayers. Is like, it's such a small thing, but culturally I have felt it dissipate in families or in generations, the habit of praying, because of the complicated relationship we have had with religion, that we also disconnected from the practice of praying. But if you can pray to your angels or your higher self for guidance. And praying is just having a conversation, a chat, and putting out a voice message to them. Hey, look it up when you're back on your office and get back to me. I need some help. That's all you need to do. Uh, so yeah.
Yeah. What you said about the barrier of, free will, that's exactly right. Like, you have free will as a person. They don't want to meddle with you if you don't want that. And I actually recently have been thinking of how our spirit team is like our co-workers. They stay in the higher realms and we're like, all right, time to learn some stuff, we're going down to earth. But we are just as powerful and important as they are, and we are equal, and they respect us and we respect them. And when you ask them for guidance, that's you basically calling up your co-worker and saying, okay, I'm down here doing my job, what I've signed up for, but I don't know what I'm doing right now. I don't know where I'm going. Could you help someone out? Could you help me out? And so they're going to come in when you ask for it, but don't think of yourself as less than your guides or your angels. We all stem from the same place, wherever that place is. If I think too much about it, my brain will explode. But we're all connected and we're all important, and they work with us, not against us, and they're not like scary, intimidating, like higher up beings in the terms that we might think of as the way we think of our bosses in like a corporate job or something. Like, they're not here to press us down or see us as less than. We're equal, and we have that co-relationship with them, which is quite a nice way to see it. And they will come in for you when you ask. Just give them a quick call and they'll be there, essentially.
Wow, I appreciate you so much, and I absolutely love you, Kira. And I'm so happy that you're putting out this message out there, this clarity. And I'm sure there's so many out there who needs this assurance, this clarity on how to work with it, and how simple, and just it's about being open to it. And yeah, not put us into hierarchies and stuff, and we think of it as a transaction. It's a teamwork, and we are the ground force. So yeah, that's
Exactly.
pretty cool. So yeah, I wanted to like ask you, like, this is just the first discussion that we are having on a topic about the light worker or awakening journey, and those are reviving and remembering this connection to the source. So how have you been feeling doing this program, sharing my life?
I feel so different to how I used to be before I was doing any of this. I feel so much more secure in what I'm feeling and what I'm saying and what I'm doing. And I know that I have to trust the process. And like that 777 energy, I trust that there is abundance and everything that's going to come from this. And it's a learning thing for me, but it feels so good to be like out in the world and speaking up and using putting the words that I've had in my heart for like years finally out into the world, I've got so much to say and I'm so excited about it, and it finally feels like it's going somewhere, which is so fantastic. So I'm very much living for the energy and the process. Yeah.
Just listening to you, like I could feel the love oozing out of you and wrapping me all around. It's amazing energy. And yes, Kira, the world is better for it. The world is better to have your voice echoing through the internet. And I love it. I love what we're doing. And yeah, I'm so grateful that you decided to do this and hop on this journey. You're the first one, and I appreciate you so much. You're going to help so many out there to own their voice and use that voice. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being someone to come into my life and give me that nudge. I think that's a really important step, is to have someone believe in you and have faith in you, because when we don't have that, it's easy for our egos to step in and say, you don't know what you're doing. But when we have support around us and those connections, it helps us to grow and to bloom and to like leave the nest essentially. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm honored to be doing this. What topic are we going to pick up next? I'm so excited.
Yeah, I was thinking along the lines of our soul connections and who we meet along our lives that help us in our journey in life as souls, help us grow. We have all of these different people that come in for specific lessons, souls that we also work with, that are our group, and they come in and assist us in life. I think that's a interesting sort of topic I'd like to explore a little bit about. Yeah.
Yay, can't wait for next week. This is an amazing topic and ties in so much with this call that we are putting out there for other light workers who are still resisting, connecting and still feels alone. And if you just can't believe that you are not alone, these spaces like ours are just there for you to connect and yeah, have a really great time together. So thank you, Kira. I appreciate you so much. We'll talk soon again.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.